Hi everyone, I'm Brian with Equipment World, and today we're here to talk about technology in the construction industry. As the old trope goes, the times they are a-changin', and it's an exciting time for our field. Things are changing so rapidly on the technology level, and it's bringing us capabilities we've never seen before at a cost that we haven't seen before, and that's the most exciting aspect. But here to talk about it as an expert in the field is Matt Kohler with Topcon. He's going to give us a quick rundown as to some of their new technology and some of the applications you can use it on. One of my first questions for you is, we used to have two very distinct markets. We had the compact market and we had the full-size market. But especially as machines like the Case Minotaur have come out, and John Deere and Takeuchi with their larger machines, the lines are beginning to blur between compact equipment and full-size equipment. What have you guys seen trend-wise on the use of this equipment and the capabilities of these machines?
Well, first off, I would say it's the OEM acceptance in this segment. We're starting to see features in the compact machines that were usually reserved for full-size machines. For example, if you look at several mini excavators, those machines, you might see limits for height or for depth. So safety things, you might have some power lines up overhead or a gas line down below, so the operator can operate freely with that. So some of those are features now within the compact machines. And the other thing is you might see swing limits, safety features like that, or simple things for depth. Some manufacturers allow you to do some simple depth things. And then for the CTL thing, since you were addressing that, you're starting to see features to where they're more accepting of technology. They might have all the sensors already on there, the IMUs, to where they want your software and then your positioning device on there to integrate into what their system already is. So more OEM acceptance right out of the gate. There's several other features that we're seeing, but
so as the machines are becoming more capable, can you expound just a little bit on what sort of technologies are elevating these machines even further that you've seen?
Well, any positioning technology is going to elevate the machine substantially. If you just take a simple laser system, 2D laser system, and we automate a CTL, you're going to see a 20 to 30% increase in finished production on these. If you put 3D positioning on it, you're going to see 30 to 50%. Very conservatively, with 3D positioning, you're not only getting position, you're getting a design, you're getting elevation and all the job details there. So just by putting various positioning technologies on, you're going to increase the production of those machines substantially.
So getting into Topcon specific products, can you tell me a bit about MC Mobile and just how it differentiates from some of Topcon's other great control systems that people are probably used to?
Think of MC Mobile as a 3-in-1 single operator solution. Our tagline is measure, design, and build. The idea is for an operator to be able to show up on a job site, perform his layout, and then if he needs to create a simple design, say a poly line if he's digging a trench, or do a flat pad, slope pad, anything like that, he can design it on the tablet. And then that same tablet you're using for the layout, you can actually transfer to the machine, use it with a CTL or a Mini X or whatever you're using there. How it differs from our traditional technology is MC Mobile at heart is an indicate system. But having said that, we do automate certain attachments.
Oh, perfect.
So we can automate box blades, grater blades, stuff like that. So we don't automate the machine, where our Max product line is we're automating a dozer, a grater, certain excavators, things of that nature. The other thing is when you think about the layout, you're not going to be taking that GPS antenna off of your dozer and using it with your rod band, where MC Mobile is meant to be modular, meant to be moved around with that. And most of that stuff is dedicated to the task at hand.
Interesting. So initially, at first glance, that sounds like you're talking about a substantial savings over a traditional system. So when can contractors kind of see a return on investment on something like this?
In terms of the cost of MC Mobile, if we compare it against a traditional system with a base and rover, stuff like that, you're going to price out about half the cost.
Wow.
It's a system that's designed for the compact segment. For return on investment, that's a tough question to answer, because it's dictated by applications and what the contractor's doing, as you know. So if you're using a Mini X and you're placing large rock for a retaining wall, your payback is a little different than somebody that might be grading a flat pad that's paying for concrete. But needless to say, the system could pay for itself in as little as one project or a couple projects, but you're going to see a pretty quick payback when you use this technology.
And as a contractor, that's immediately where I start going down, is if you get on the right project, you could absolutely pay for a system like that in one project, no problem.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely dictates what you're going to get and what your payback is. It's the operators, it's the applications, it's the materials. All of those things come into play.
So now, as a contractor, another question that my mind kind of goes down is, do you have the ability to move this system between machines? Is there some interconnectivity there? How does that work?
So the whole idea is it's a modular system in that you can do layout tasks with it, you can do design, you can actually put the components on the machine. You can move some components. You could take your GNSS antenna and take that and move that from CTL to CTL or attachment to attachment or CTL to mini excavator. Same thing with the prism. So we can work with a robotic total station or our 3D laser, the LN150. So those parts are modular. The parts that aren't meant to be moved are your hardwired things, your IMUs. In theory, you could move them, but it's not real practical because you have calibration and measurement and
Sure.
things of that nature. Yeah.
And so what are some of the advantages? I mean, we've covered quite a few actually,
yeah.
but any additional advantages that you...
Yeah, lots of advantages besides being a 3-in-1 solution and being able to do that. You have the flexibility with MC Mobile. You can do 2D. So if you want to interface with a laser, all of that's available. You just have to put a TOPCon laser receiver on there and plug it in. You can go to work. You can run with GNSS, a GPS 3D solution. We can interface with a robotic total station. We can interface with our 3D laser. So if you think about various environments where you might be working indoors, outdoors, or something like that, it has full flexibility to do all of that. Too many things probably to list for the advantages.
I will say with the newer systems, especially, one thing that continues to stand out with you guys is the flexibility and the versatility that is all kind of wrapped up in one package versus, you know, when I started back in the industry, you had one package and it did one thing. So
yeah, and it's capable of accepting entire design. So if you're a contractor that does full designs in-house and want to send it out, it can absolutely work in that environment. So it's meant to be as simple as possible and user-friendly as possible, but it can also work with the most advanced users.
So now here's the real question, knowing the individuals that tend to come into the dirt industry. What kind of learning curve do you have with this software?
So, you know, I guess we can have a couple of camps. We have the existing TOPCon users that we think are going to be very accepting of this, and they're going to be up and running in 10 to 15 minutes as long as they know how to run those machines. The look, feel, everything is the same, so they're going to be good to go. If we're training somebody that doesn't have experience with 3D positioning, you're probably looking at 2 to 3 hours. What we typically like to do, or what our dealers like to do, is to go out and get you productive right out of the gate. So we might go out and say, here's how you set up the LN150 3D laser. Okay, now let's create a simple design. Now let's go and let's just start interfacing with the technology. Once you're using it, then you start learning on a regular basis, and you're going to find out, gosh, I can do so much more with this. To help with the learning curve, besides having somebody on site with you for the first day or a resource available for you, MyTOPCon has a website or MyTOPCon Now app, and we have a series of e-learning modules in there. And the e-learning is specific to our Pocket 3D, our MC Mobile. Besides having a learning track for where you can figure out how to use the equipment, you can also create a library and download like short videos. So how do I Bluetooth connect to my controller? How do I set up an LN150? And they're just 30-second to minute-long videos. You could create a library. So to use MyTOPCon Now, all you got to do is create an account. It's absolutely free. The other thing that's interesting is users like yourself or dealers doing is they're going out and doing YouTube videos. You know, if you've ever fixed a headlight on a pickup truck or something, you want to know exactly how to do it without tearing something apart. You know, there's an organic thing going on right now with that. So you're going to see a lot of resources available for training and learning with this product.
So shifting gears just a little bit, what other technologies does TOPCon offer for the compact equipment market?
So we just released a product called 2DMC. And sort of to describe 2DMC is it's a simple Android app. That's all 2DMC is. It's an app that we download onto our wireless tablet that we use for MC Mobile. 2DMC was really designed around the compact segment, and the whole intent was to be able to automate box blades and grater blades for those applications, those ends to edges machines, but it can do many other things. The nice thing about the 2DMC app is it utilizes all the same hardware as MC Mobile, so it's completely upgradable. But 2DMC can also be used for other machine types. If you want to take it and run it and indicate on a dozer, on a scraper, on a Gannon box, something like that, you can use it. It's a very flexible, easy, user-friendly solution. I know a lot of people like to stress easy and user-friendly, but when you actually took a look at the interface, you would see, am I high, am I low, am I on grade? What do I want on grade to be? I can set particular deadband, so I don't need that 1/4 of an inch accuracy. I want it to be a little wider, so you can determine that stuff. It's a really nice, easy to use product that we believe is priced right as well.
And so just to make sure I'm understanding it correctly, 2DMC is actually a software application upgrade, if you will, to your existing hardware?
100%. 2DMC is just an Android app, but then it utilizes the hardware, and think of it as a laser-based system from there. But in terms of TOPSCon's definition, 2DMC is just an app that a contractor can download to their CT8X2, which is our tablet for now.
Interesting. And so what kind of applications are you guys using this in?
Well, I think about the box blade and the grader blades for what somebody might want to run with, and I think about doing sports fields.
That's a great application for these things.
Somebody might be grading sidewalks. It's a compact machine. It's the right width. These Amazon warehouses, Walmart warehouses, grading off a pad, something like that, to where you want to leave the dirt a little high instead of using more concrete. Anything that's requiring that, but keep in mind, you're working with a laser. So you're going to be doing a flat, a single slope, or a dual slope with that. So, any of those applications.
So what are some of the limitations? You kind of mentioned one there with only two planes of grading there. Are there additional limitations?
Well, yeah. I mean, the first thing is when I a lot of us live in a 3D world, you're used to loading a design. So you're used to getting your cut and fill information anywhere you go. When we think about lasers are fantastic, because if you have the application, that's all you need. If you need to do flat, single slope, or dual slope, that's what you need. But when you go into an application with a compound slope, a track at a high school you might be grading, as soon as you go into the curve of that track, that slope is always changing. So you're going to be limited by what you can do with that, and then you're going to pull out the old string line and go back to traditional methods.
Back to the old school ways.
Back to the old ways. That's exactly right. Yeah.
So what are some of the advantages of that system over some of the other technology solutions out there?
The beauty is the flexibility. Everything is completely upgradable within the TOPCon ecosystem. You could take that same hardware, those IMUs, and upgrade it to MC Mobile. So there is no dead-end solution. One of the things we've always prided ourselves on is having something that's backward compatible. You can use those same sensors we're using now for a grader that we came out with in 1980.
Well, my final question for you is, where can contractors go to learn more information about this, possibly look at one to demo, kind of have that conversation?
Well, the best resource is to contact one of our dealers. And if you don't know who your dealer is, you can go to topconpositioning.com. In the upper right-hand corner, I believe, of the website, it's Find a Dealer. Anywhere in the world, you just put where you are, and they're going to find you a TOPCon machine control dealer. That's what you're going to need to look for. We're going to be at ConExpo as well. We're going to have mini excavator there, CTL there, full systems available. Our technical sales experts are going to be there. We're going to be in booth West Hall W43445. The other thing is we're putting on some educational sessions on Friday, March 17th in the West Hall, room 206. We're going to have a session from 1 to 2 p.m. And then if any contractors are out there that are watching this that might happen to be doing paving, we've got another one. We've got a paving seminar there titled Asphalt Paving Technologies, Moving Operations into the Future. And that is Wednesday, March 15th, West Hall, room 213 to 15. So I think that's taken up 3 rooms. So that's going to be a pretty big session.
It sounds like you guys are going to be busy, but it sounds like tremendous resources for guys in the field.
We are so looking forward to ConExpo and getting this out and hearing what the contractors have to say, and we are so excited for MC Mobile to be out to the market.
Awesome stuff. Well, Matt, thank you again for the time. This has been great.
Hey, Brian, it's been great talking to you. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you again for Matt and TOPCon for taking time to come on the show today to discuss some of the new technologies that are being rolled out and some of the different applications you can use them in. It's unbelievable how quickly the game is changing and just what benefits that brings to us as contractors. So as always, we hope this has been helpful. We look forward to seeing you guys at ConExpo, and stay tuned for a follow-up to this interview.